WE, this would actually really surprise me, and they go towards it. They pick up. They go for Ryze first pick.
Okay, so, you know, going to Shanks. I don't know, Lyric, if there's some high tech here like the Syndra that we're going to be seeing that in the bottom lane. But, you know, I will assume that we're just getting a Shanks first pick after how well he's done so far.
If I remember correctly off the top of my head, I think they red side 1-2 Ryze every game against top esports. I remember they red side Ryze 1-2 against some team all 3 games. So WE going back to this, to where BLG just going to keeping the team that goes towards the more traditional quote unquote, like, you know, power picks, taking away the Xin Zhao once again. I mean, taking away the Xin Zhao this time, and then also going to get their hands on the Aphelios this time around. Wanting to move away from that Ziggs where, you know, it felt like aiming not able to contribute too much other than just being a wave clear bot in mid.
As we look at WE, they're hovering between the Olaf, the Viego right now. A strong pick available. Feels like it's always going to be the Viego. Lyric, I wanted to bring something up that for WE, it might just go back to what we expect, right? Ryze with the Realm Warp that can hit towards the top side. It's what WE like to play towards. Early aggression top, set themselves up for the first Herald, and keep that first stat in the league up and alive.
Yeah, now I'm curious to see if WE go towards AD carry here to match what BLG have done. The Varus has made its way open this time around, so you could, you know, potentially go for something like that.
Sure.
You have the range to play against something like the Aphelios. You have utility setting up for picks like the Viego, but no. Instead, Elk wanting to pull out the Ziggs for himself. We highlighted that Elk has pulled this out before, but only once, was in their last series where they did end up going down. They didn't have the best performance and just kept getting 2v2 killed against the top esports bottom lane. Hopefully, he can have a better performance in this game here today. And BLG just going to lock in the Camille right away and start looking to ban out some of Breed's champions. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Jax banned out this time around with the fact that they went towards this Camille pick. The other one, maybe something like a Fiora, because we know Breed is well versed in it. I wonder if you'd want to take away something like the Irelia as well. So there's like potential options that are still open, but the Jax being taken off the board like we'd expect.
I mean, seeing the Camille in BiuBiu's hands, something that I remember from the V5 days, something that I remember that is one of BiuBiu's favorite picks of all time. I like that you bring up the Fiora. Let's just keep that in the back of the mind because BLG are banning away some of these top laners. Jax is one. The Fiora would be a targeted ban towards Breathe to give BiuBiu the best laning phase and come back to BLG. How they also like targeting the top side and getting BiuBiu ahead.
Still, I think, yep, there it is for BLG taking away the Fiora. We know that's where Breathe has this highlight clip from last year. I mean, for BLG, they have a lot of scale on the other side now. They have a lot of lockdown. We need to see more of a frontline presence come out. I think that's pretty expected when you do have ppgod on the roster. And I wouldn't be surprised just to see BLG go back towards the Leona. The Thresh is available. You have the Aphelios. We've seen that fall a bit out of, I'd say, fashion in terms of the LPL and where we're at in terms of picks. But for ppgod, he's been far and away just favored the Leona. 15 games on Leona compared to his second most played is Thresh with 7.
But looking at the Nautilus here for the time being, folks, not as a exciting pick ban as we saw in game number 1, but still excited to see how this rounds out with Rell in the end. Maybe a bit of a takeaway from missing with how well he did in game 1.
Yeah, gonna go towards that one. It's something ppgod actually plays a ton of in solo queue. It's one of his most played champions. Not something he's brought out all too much. I think you can play around Rell by taking more disengage or zone control from being able to prevent her from getting in, because let's remember that Rell's really only easy way of getting into an enemy team and closing the distance isn't really your Q. You pretty much have to guarantee with something like a flash to be able to get on high priority targets, unless they do make mistakes or maybe they walk in where they don't have vision or something else. But WE gonna go back to the Trundle and we get a ribbon!
Dude, what was I saying? This is, guys, it's not exciting draft as game number 1. Forget that. Put that out the window. We have a freaking ribbon when you are in elimination mode in round 2. WE with the game advantage, they say, let's try it, and let's try win top yet again.
So, Breathe has played this once in solo queue in the past 2 weeks. When I saw it, I brushed it off, thought, you know, probably just having a bit of fun. I don't expect to see this champion come out on Summoner's Rift. Not something you tend to see, but I'm just really curious to see how WE want to play around it. Riven typically thought of as a champion who wants to be more aggressive. Does have some pretty decent scaling in her kit in terms of having that burst coming out later in the game. So we're going to see how W can facilitate this when they once again have a very scrappy composition. I think BLG on the other side bringing out a lot of comfort as well. Zeka getting his hands onto the Silas. We have the Camille up in the top side. And once again, Hysterics, I think we're just in for a treat.
We are. We definitely are. When you see Riven on Summoner's Rift And if anyone's just tuning in for the first time, because I know people now have their eyes glued to the screen, BLG are fighting for a security in regional qualifiers, the chance to go to Worlds here in the lower side of the bracket. Remembering that BLG and WE, teams that we talked about, their similarities here. WE punished in game number 1 and now bringing out the Riven Lyric. Obviously our attention has to be towards the top side to see who gets ahead in this lane, who gets out of the lane, and towards these early skirmishes.
I know back in the day, I think Riven was favored in this early laning matchup. You have a lot of different combos that make it very hard for Fiora to, set up her parry and look for the trade back. Not sure how this matchup goes anymore. Really gonna be fun to see how this laning phase goes and see what Breed's able to do. I do know, I think her mythic is Gordricker. You do still become this bit of annoying, unkillable bruiser like a lot of champions in the current meta have become. And I mean, we're going to get to see how Breathe pilots it and how WE set it up.
That's right, because for WE to pull this out in game number 2, after the confidence lyric you talked about from them, it was just them being able to go ahead and take over game number 1. BLG at a deficit here, but we still saw that great early game. Let's see if they can do it again here. With Zeka on the Silas, with BiuBiu on the Camille. All eyes go towards the top lane. It is a teleport, of course, here for Breathe as he takes Conqueror. And Lyric, you're right. It's been a while since we've seen anything like this matchup. Unfortunately, I'm not full of stats. I can't go back and look it up. But BiuBiu in for a treat.
I know one of the only times you'll see Rivens come out in a lot of higher elo solo queue games is into this specific matchup as well. I mean, other than One Tricks, who are going to play every game. So we're going to see how Breathe does do on it, but also curious for BLG's bot lane. Hiding in the brush right now. We're going to see if Elk and Missing do walk in, because I want to see which teams end up going where, right? For now, we actually have Beishang pathing away from his Riven, making his way towards the bottom side of the map, to where WeiWei is going to be the one looking to impact that matchup early on. So for WE, what will their plan be? Typically, when you see Ziggs, especially Ziggs Trundle, as
not gonna go.
Okay, no shenanigans gonna happen. This is more of like a weak side bot lane. You have not only the wave clear, but you do have things like the pillar to disrupt the enemy from coming in. And he even did go with the Guardian instead of the Halo Blade, so does signal a less aggressive laning phase wanting to come out from Missing this time around.
Sure, give safety to Elk. I want to point out as well, WE's bottom lane. Not sure if the experience was dodged there, but BLG were able to zone them off 1 or 2 minions. So looking pretty strong here to start off the 2v2 at the very least. Aiming, trying to utilize the Calibrum for now. And you already talked about WeiWei pathing towards the bottom side if there's any potential there. Meanwhile, Shanks in the mid lane. Let's just have a quick look across these lanes because it's already starting out massive here. For the Rise, and up in the top lane, Breathe has an early push.
So for WE, do have solo lane pressure. Actually, your bot lane getting pushed in, so interesting that both teams pathing towards their weak sides of the map so far. I want to see if WE will do anything specifically from the fact that they do have both solo lane pressure in terms of looking to contest any type of scuttle crab set up top, but BiuBiu's level 3 first.
Yes, he is, and Breathe is just going to use it to clear the wave. There's a last shot of the broken wings there as well. And Breathe just backs away as the wave is slowly pushing against him for now.
You know, sir, because I know you are so smart about knowing every ability. What's the name of Riven Ultimate?
Riven's Ultimate is Blade of the Exile. You know, don't know how I have this in my brain. I don't know why E's called Valor, because I just think of Quinn. W is Key Burst with a small little flex. Hey, speaking of flexing, Shanks might be dead here. There's a chain lash and everything on top. Abscond abduct. Shanks now trying to get out with a phase rush, but WeiWei flashes on in. Wind does become lightning with a quick knock up on the blast cone. He's still alive. Shanks running for his life here, Lyric, but how far can he go? Another W needed with an audacious charge, and WeiWei picks up first blood.
And for Shanks, I don't know if you just assume that WeiWei's doing Scuttle Crab or what, but regardless, you should know where he is on the map, right? Be leaning more heavily down towards that bottom side. Still, Zeka able to find the Abscond Abduct really does open up pretty well for the side of BLG to be able to pick that one up, but Shanks getting punished for what felt like pretty needlessly. Now we're going to be panning back to the top side. Seems like the observers agree that this is where they want to see action happening, right? We do have Viego up on top side of the map right now, and BiuBiu is pushed up quite far, but I don't think anything should be able to come out, especially while he does have that hook shot, wall shot available.
Just waiting for that key burst to come through. He's already used all parts of the Q here. Level 4, it's an all-in, trying to get Valor, but BiuBiu just scissors him in half. Goodbye for a solo kill. As in the bottom lane, we pause once again. This will not excel any further as ppgod goes to half HP, but Lyric, top side, that's a disaster.
Yeah, that was a bit of a head scratch, right? Because Breathe was the aggressor. Breathe was the one going forward. Looks like just overestimating his damage because BiuBiu not needing all too much more than just a couple of autos to be able to come out to win in that 1v1. And now you're going to see him come back to lane with an advantage. Does have Phage against double Dorans and a longsword. So we're going to see what happens here. Does start off with the Q. Hookshot, washot's already down, so I guess that's why Breathe is wanting to look for this. Gets the W. The stun comes out. Already has stacked his Conqueror, but E comes up once again, able to get that stun to guarantee the kill.
And meanwhile, on the bottom lane, missing pretty low. ppgod wants to dive this. He has flash, but thinking otherwise, considering aiming is low as well. Pushing them against the turret. Bottom lane has a 10 CS lead. And Lyric just coming out of that replay, talking about bot once again. It is another active early game between these two teams.
Yeah, and this time around, Aiming and ppgod having a pretty nice lead in the bottom lane. We're going to see in the corner of our screen how Missing did have to blow his flash. Yes, so they get flash. They have about a 10 CS advantage right now as well. Maybe with this teleport and trying to force Aiming and ppgod to back, they could try to equalize that one. BiuBiu 6!
Yeah, he's hit level 6 first. Breathe is not there, just trying to get out of there. Valor with a bit of movement speed, that's what he needs. But the hookshot, wall shot Lyric. Breathe is just getting zoned off the wave.
You know, I still expected a lot more to come out of the Hextech ultimatum, but not having any damage to really follow up on that one. He's doing a nice job of zoning him off the wave. Like you said, that one is going to stack up and push back into him, though, but not going to be able to walk up towards it anytime soon. I wonder if BLG will try to set anything up with this wave, you know, maybe trying to start bringing WeiWei over, or even Zeka after this reset, pushing out, making their way towards the top side to punish Breathe. Right now they are hovering around bot, but with resets coming out, doesn't seem like anything's going to happen. And Rift Herald's going to be up in a minute and a half. So you expect these teams to naturally gravitate towards the top half of the map. And I want to see how BLG go with using this topside advantage that BiuBiu have been able to find themselves. Because again, with the stacking wave, you would assume you should be able to set up, you know, some sort of gank dive or playing the topside. But ooh, look at the mini-map. Maybe Beishang expecting something like that as well.
All right, Beishang's not level 6 though, so the Heartbreaker is going to make a difference. See if he can pick it up on the rest of the wave, but backs away anyway. Shank's moving up as well, and Lyric, I mean, this is something I questioned you about, setting the Riven up further with the Rise Realm Warp, but he's already used it, obviously, to get to the lane. Won't be up for a little bit, so WE just back away after the potential play. And Herald timing, again, the next thing to watch out for, with Dragon not even being looked at seriously.
Yeah, I think Beishang assumed the same thing that I did, that like, okay, hey, you know, they're zoning off the wave, you already had a heavy trade coming out from BiuBiu, like there's potential for a play to come up here. Doesn't happen, Beishang just gonna hover and make sure no shenanigans do come through. BLG instead gonna use the pressure they did have through bot, with the fact that ppgod was able to get the reset off and head straight towards mid and make their way into the enemy jungle. No real vision available, nothing able to come out from it. And with Rift Herald coming up soon, that's what we're gonna see rather than an early dragon play, right? I think it's become pretty key in the meta. Is okay, we are finally seeing the dive, but Beishang's here.
There's 2 versus 3. BLG have numbers advantage. Hextech ultimatum not back up and available, but they don't need it. Breathe is dead for the second time. Flashing out from under the turret. Beishang gets no return, while in the bottom lane, BLG, this is their response. The flash on top of Missing. Will he die? No! Dodges so away from the Calibrum Lyric. BLG, they almost got everything.
BLG are winning everywhere. You know, we were right about the top dive and the top play coming just a little bit early on when it did happen. I'm surprised BLG... we're not done yet, Hysterics.
Well, I think ppgod won't be able to follow up on the Shanks. Yeah, there's a phase rush there, but BLG so active in this early game. Herald kills. We've got a 1,000 gold lead. 8 minutes in. Once again, BLG is showing us that their early game has been best in this series.
They've done a nice job of just, like, mobilizing their parts from the map, right? ppgod doing a nice job earlier of like coming mid to help secure that mid push. Even after moving bot and then seeing the play come out 30 seconds later, it's parts like this that you don't typically notice because they don't happen right when the play happens that allow and set up for the play to, you know, be made. So I think BLG is still showing a strength in being able to utilize each lane to get the most out of each other. But WE still gonna have a nice response in terms of getting a bunch of plates onto Elk.
Elk getting some of this gold to share with Missing in the end, though. A satchel charge a while away from taking down that turret, so we remain with a little bit gold to catch up. Noting that Elk was down 10, 15 CS in the early laning phase. Because of aiming and ppgod moving around, Elk was able to catch up, so he's now at 80, which is a decent thing to bring up. Lyric, before we go to the next dragon, or sorry, the first dragon, I want to ask you a question about Boots' swiftness there. Aiming has just picked up Boots before anything else, so going for a much faster option on the AD carry.
Yeah, I'm really curious in seeing this. It's not something you really see all too often, right? Still typically the Berserker's Greaves coming out.
Yep.
Gonna be interested in seeing what he does do with this.
I think at the end of the day, I'm going to have to find out. It's a bit of a deep invade here from BLG. And WeiWei's just going to back away. Remember, he has the Herald. 2-0 here on the Xin Zhao to kick things off. And Dragon now in front. BLG, when they get this Dragon Lyric, they're going to have all objectives in front of them. They're going to have this early game down pat. And with CS leads through bottom, that should build back up. Top lane as well. And eventually jungle.
Yeah, I want to see where they opt into using the Herald. I wouldn't really expect bot to come through from the fact that, again, you are going up against the Ziggs there. Pretty easy to clear out the wave and be able to minimize the damage done with that objective. Top would be the go-to choice in my mind from the fact that you do have such a volatile matchup in the Camille versus Riven. But, you know, neither side really being able to break down any plates just yet means would be pretty hard to get the turret in one go. Still, I think it would be my expected choice, unless maybe right now they can try and zone out Shanks. But nope, Shanks will be able to safely make his way down. So for BLG, I expect them to look top once again, maybe make a similar play to what they made before, and look to utilize that Herald.
Push the Riven even further out, right? Because a Riven that falls behind, usually in game stays behind. I think we haven't seen Riven in a while. Could be a very volatile champion. His BiuBiu misses a hookshot, wall shot. And Breathe right now had a really rough early game. Dove once, solo killed once by BiuBiu, who is still maintaining that CS lead, pushing yet another wave. And look at where WeiWei and ppgod are hovering around. Just in case something's able to be taken, they're ready to pounce.
Yeah, right now just helping BiuBiu secure this reset, making sure nothing does come through. Not going to be able to find any play available to them. WE going to use this window to push in the mid wave, but still Zeka going to be able to respond. And for WE, not too many plays available for them on the map. We've already hit on how it feels like making a play bot is pretty hard. Aiming doesn't have any flash, so if he does overextend, there is some potential there. But I think for Beishang and Shanks, you should once again be looking towards mid. You have a bit of setup with Rise. Even if you don't find a kill onto Zeka, just trying to secure some push in mid, even with the help from missing, you can then start using that Rell more aggressively towards the top half of the map. So for both teams, I'm kind of looking at similar things, right? We have a Ziggs versus Aphelios down in the bottom lane. You don't expect to see too much action coming out there. I feel like it really should be a 4v4 battle on the top half of the map.
Well, BLG are going to be the ones to start it because Herald's about to time out. This is quick timing as WeiWei puts it down. And Breathe is going to be zoned off. Look at the pings coming in from WE. Feels like BLG will get the charge, but BiuBiu now cornered against the wall. There's a pillar. Flashes away, shares in the gold plating, but feels like the flash was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, should have been fine. His team was there to back him up. I don't know if maybe he thought over that corridor that more members of WE were there and, you know, potentially the lockdown could have come through, a pillar come out and lock him down. But still, feel like you could have probably held your flash off for a better moment. Not going to give opportunity to be bursted down. They still do get a bunch of plates on the top half of the map and not losing out anything on the bottom side.
Well, Shanks is going to realm warp into aiming, but aiming has heal available. TP stopped against Zeka, who was trying to match himself, and nothing happens while Beishang has to get away with the heartbreak. What the heck just happened in the past 20 seconds?
That's a good question. A lot of shenanigans going on towards the mid lane. BLG still going to be the team to guarantee pressure and guarantee prio start making their way down. I don't think they should be able to punish Shanks' pathing towards coming through mid, so BLG 2k gold lead, just continuously keeping up pressure. And I'd like to see what they're angling to do now with having ppgod make his way up towards topside. You don't even really need to make a play or make a gank on the top half of the map.
Yeah.
You realistically just need to outnumber them, show in lane, and you will be able to push this turret down. So it's what they end up doing in the end with ppgod. And now you have this long lane not only for Camille to try to win out more in the 1v1, but also to start making her way down towards mid, abusing Fog of War, clearing out vision, putting more pressure on the Shanks, which will also open up for Zeka to make some plays down towards the bottom half of the map. So
how strong it will be as well, right?
Options.
Because I think BiuBiu, it's to be noted that 610 gold went straight to the Camille. He's 2,100 up over Breathe on this Riven. 30 CS up inclusive on that as well. You talked about the long lane, but I also want to point out that that play from BLG was just control. It's what we expect as a Mega Inferno Bomb comes through. It's BLG showing the same control we saw in Game 1 before it all went wrong.
True, we can't count WE out anytime soon, right? We can't always see BLG make a mistake in terms of, you know, someone walking too far forward on the map. Last game, and for the most part of the split, it has been ppgod. We have seen other members make mistakes too. I think Aiming has been someone who, especially in the early laning phase, has tended to make some mistakes. BiuBiu, extremely hit or miss. Again, I'm not going to let you live this down. I do think it is a little bit true in a sense of you know, relating BiuBiu to the Shy. Even Clement related BiuBiu to being Budget the Shy, which I think in BiuBiu's mind, you know, he thinks back to 2018 the Shy, and that's how he like sees himself playing the game. But you know, BiuBiu definitely not being there quite yet, not being 2018 the Shy.
Thank you for roasting me on broadcast. That's sick. First of all, I want to defend myself and say, well, Herald's going down.
I think you're right.
It doesn't matter. It's on to missing. You did actually defend me. Thank you so much. The flash away. We continue the fight here with Elk now joining in. But look, there's a Camille on the bottom side who still hasn't TP'd in. WE have numbers advantage. Now for WE, walking away is the option with BiuBiu joining in the fray. Herald given over, it's WE backing off, and BLG using that summoner again, but they're going further. The Hextech Ultimatum onto missing, he's cornered out. The Divine Thunder doing half the HP, but BiuBiu now in a weird position. Maybe he is like the Shy, because I don't know why he walked that way, Lyric.
That is the duality of BiuBiu that we talked about. Trying to find the pick, trying to get the team an advantage, but ends up just putting himself in harm's way near turret. Bomb comes out. Not enough damage to follow through, though. They should be fine. But you know, giving WE this opportunity to where they can make their way in bot side river, and WE now should be able to secure the dragon off this.
They should, and that'll even it up one apiece. Remember, it's been a slow dragon game, and for WE, getting an objective after the fact ain't bad. Once again, BLG, a bit of a mistake. This time, it just wasn't them funneling all in one by one. Only one pick off, but an objective to say the least.
No, and we're going to get a replay of what did happen of BiuBiu going in. Looks like he was hoping to find his way onto Elk, but really nice satchel charge actually coming out from Elk to be able to escape. Hextech ultimatums onto missing. His team not in a position to follow up. Now he's just in a really awkward position. Beishang able to lock him down with the CC, and he does go down. And, you know, it goes back to, again, I wasn't trying to roast you. I actually think we saw from this play that, you know, BiuBiu trying to emulate 2018 the Shy. You just relate him to Kurt the Shy. Probably being somewhere in the middle, right? Not really necessarily having the... being that at that low point that maybe someone considers Shy is now, but not being at that high. A nice middle ground of BiuBiu, who just dreams of being the go-to LPL carry player.
He does. He gets a lot of resources. And I think it's similar when you think about what IG did with their top lane. I don't know how we find a way to bring IG in every time I cast, but I'm glad we do. It always makes me feel at home. Lyric, I feel like it puts a nice stamp on a Hysterics series. Yeah. I wanted to bring us back to the game because another turret's gone down in favor of BLG. Gold lead moving back towards 2,000, but it isn't as dominant, as controlling as we saw in Game 1 from BLG. And Dragons are going to be later, so this game feels like it's going to take a bit more to ramp up. I want you to walk me through how the side lanes are looking and what we should be looking for while BLG are going deep for vision.
I'm really curious to see how the side lanes go, you know, the longer the game goes on for, like, BiuBiu versus Breathe.
Yep.
I would assume BiuBiu probably still going to be able to find advantages and outplays, but with two mechanically intensive champions. I'm going to pause, though, as both teams posturing over vision. BLG, though, once again, they have push in lanes. They're able to move members in first. Not going to allow WE to enter. You're not fighting over anything right now, though. No red buff, no camps available. Those have already been taken. Dragon is gone. But looks like BLG just saying, these are my wards. You will not take them. As, look at the minimap, BiuBiu is making his way over, so BLG potentially hoping to bait them into a fight with the fact that they do have numbers advantage.
I wonder if Breathe, though, could get in an angle. If we watch the top laner move his way up, with pinks coming through, just note, as Zeka goes forward, stealing the subjugate. You're right, we're not really fighting over anything except mid-turret. ppgod deep with aiming. Has the Ferromancy crash out, and WE aren't able to punish yet another mistake here. Really nice pillars coming out of missing. Keep your eyes on those, folks, as we finally back away for the fight for nothing.
Yep. You know, nothing going to be taken by both sides. So in the end, I feel like it is a win for everyone. But WE now can have the fast track onto mid lane turret, doing a nice job of dissuading aiming. And you know, you asked me about Boots of Swiftness earlier, and I feel like what we just saw on our screen is one of the only reasons I can rationalize, right? Is like the slow resist coming out of things like Pillar. Movement speed also always being nice for dodging skill shots, so helping you dodge out on the bombs. Again, I'm not sure in terms of efficiency of how the game will play out if it is worth more than the attack speed you would get, the potential DPS you're able to deal, but we're going to see how aiming is able to navigate it. Does have the Gale Force as well, so pretty much all-in on mobility as the dive comes out.
But Breathe is still alive. There's the Hextech ultimatum. He doesn't get the slash for the Blade of Exile, but Breathe, he survives, gets the kill back, and that's all that scholars are going to remember after this day.
And I'm just really surprised that BLG went for the play. That's why I wasn't even really hitting on it, just thinking they would get damage down to the turret, because WE had TPs up across the map, could have made their way over. We even saw Missing was quite close, made his way down. And they are able to finally find a nice punish on BLG. Kind of closing that goal lead. They are only up 1k now for the side of BLG. And WE now are the team at the annoying point that we saw for BLG last game of Ziggs just being able to stand under his turret safely and be able to clear these waves. As we are going to see what went down.
An
BLG just trying to
story.
get damage onto the turret. They go for it. Missing's already here. They have TP available on the rise. Hextech Ultimatum comes out. WeiWei sadly not able to get any more damage down. I mean, I guess WeiWei could have been able to turn and secure the kill, but then it would have been a 1 for 2, so
all I know,
regardless, it would have been bad.
Lyric, all I know is that when the kid gets bullied, you've seen those high school movies, the kid gets bullied time and time again, and then finally, he stands up to the bully, and he wins. Now, even though Breed got 1v2'd and he had his boys behind him, he stood up to BiuBiu, you know?
I was going to say, I don't feel like that's the same.
It wasn't as one-sided. I don't care. Let's leave it for now because BiuBiu's actually getting bullied himself. It's Beishang and Shanks getting revenge for their friend. He flashes away once again. Now both top laners without a flash, and these teams really attracted to the side lanes in game 2.
I mean, we have a Riven, we have a Camille, we have a Ryze, we have a Sylas, 4 complete side lane champions on both sides. And you have 80 carries that just love clearing waves in mid, so I think it makes a lot of sense of what we are seeing right now. You're even seeing a split map pretty much come out in terms of who controls which side, right? Right now, Shanks pushing out in top, trying to get some pressure down. Beishang making his way up there solely. They should potentially look to punish, at least steal away Raptors, take away some camps to the top side jungle, get vision down, because BLG will be the team who are going to be able to secure this dragon, but I don't think BLG should be able to find anything more than that.
And we did talk about how slow the game was with the dragons, right? Third dragon Ocean coming through with another Ocean Soul back-to-back in the series. Aiming trying to defend his own red buff, but it will be smited down by Beishang. So, Lyric, you do get your partial wish. Beishang helping getting damage with Shanks, while also taking away some of these camps. And because of that, WE still trailing by about 1,000 gold, but keeping on par with the average. Shanks now in solo kill territory, though. BiuBiu has come around the line, but the Everfrost, beautiful. Shanks is the one chasing him down now. Bit of regret with the hookshot, wall shot with ppgod in the Magnet Storm. That's not fair. It was one-on-one, and ppgod broke the rules of chivalry.
Shanks getting a little bit too much confidence, right? Has the Everfrost, hits the combo, doing a ton of damage. Shanks, okay, I can take him. But sadly, ppgod is there waiting in the wings. WeiWei, though.
He's too far. There's a Spectrum Wall. WeiWei is burning down. All he needs is one more hit. The Heartbreaker gives the reset, while Beishang Wind becomes lightning out of range of aiming. ppgod as well has to crash down. Beishang's going to Heartbreaker over. He wants this with the movement speed. He finds a Rell without her horse. And to be honest, it's not a real horse, guys. There's the ulti from the Ziggs. Another one. And WE are doing it again, Lyric.
And both teams just opening up windows to be punished for the side of WE. I mean, for BLG, you can honestly just wait for your side lanes to push out, rotate them mid. You just got that kill onto the Rise. You know you're going to have timing advantage, but still aggressively looking to shove in those waves mid with WeiWei. Now WE going to be looking for the spare, and aiming is up. A ton of AoE is available.
Shanks' Realm warped in. Missing is dissuading Zeka. Great pillar again, but the Everfrost slows them down. A good Aphelios ult is aiming with the Shurikens, Luke. You already mentioned there. That's a big Aphelios with 2 items strong and boots of swiftness. BLG move away, move to the turret, and stop WE from taking that Baron.
Aiming as a member we haven't hit on too much, but honestly, though aiming I don't think is the best player on BLG by any means, we hit on that earlier, probably mid or jungle. Ooh. Aiming is always set up to be the carry. He might not get the same early pressures, now we see them on the Baron, but aiming typically doing 30% of the team's damage. We need to see him step up in this team fights on this Aphelios.
It's about the team fights, as you shared, about the late game for aiming. We'll watch him here as WeiWei starts it off the Baron. Magnet Storm doesn't hit anyone as Ziggs Satchel Charge keeps him away. BiuBiu finally getting engaged with the Heartbreaker, beautiful from Beishang. WE have exploded into the fight while BLG are running for their lives. Breathe with a great key burst. Picks up another kill. Heartbreaker on top of Zeka. WE, give their top laner back what she deserves.
And you remember how I said to keep your eyes on Aiming. Aiming not able to do anything in that fight.
Nope.
Not putting down any damage. All the members of WE just funneled in this choke, able to just take down the members of BLG one at a time. And now this Baron, which looked like it was going the other way, going to be set up for WE once again. In terms of the first 20 minutes, these teams look so even, but once it gets late, WE are coming in more clutch. We're going to see what happens here. The poke coming down, WeiWei, Zeka, and ppgod all funneling in, but look at Aiming, not able to get in, not able to dish out this damage. Members already low on the side of BLG with how early WeiWei did find the engage and find the window to go in. Once the Mega Inferno Bomb does come out, though, so many low health bars set up for Beishang, set up for Breathe to keep moving forward and keep finding these kills.
I love people are going to look back at this game, Lyric, and be like, dude, look at Riven in pro play. Look how good she's doing. But we haven't talked about Breathe at all. That fight, beautiful from Beishang. Shanks, I want to say Elk's satchel charge, keeping them separated. Absolutely gorgeous to watch. As WE, I said it before, I'll say it again, Lyric, they're doing just what they did in game number 1. They've punished the mistakes. They've found another Baron here. First Baron of game 2, folks. With a 3k gold lead at 25 minutes. Now the siege just begins.
It also goes to the fact that WE just are more comfortable when it comes to these team fights, right? When me and you were doing our prep yesterday, we were talking about BLG's team fighting, and one word I used to use was like suspect, sus. Yeah. BLG's team fight, not always on the same page, not always like all hitting on the targets you need, the front line's not always there, so on and so forth. But WE, they love these scraps, they love these brawls. They're always grouped up as this 5-man unit looking for these fights, and they're able to be set up. Dragon up in 46-second, though. You would expect that should go over to WE. They do have Baron buff minions, so you know that they're going to have push, going to be able to funnel into the enemy jungle, get some deep wards down, and make it very hard for BLG to walk in and contest.
They're already being so aggressive right through the mid-turret. Mega Inferno Bomb, they're diving this. ppgod has to run away. The stolen one from Zeka to zone, but the damage already done. Yet another turret falls here for WE. The map open and they're pinging for more.
You know, I mentioned it in game 1 and I mention it every time I see Viego and Ziggs together, but the combo is just stupid.
It is.
You know, you have to respect it. You can't walk too far forward. It sets up for the reset so easily. We do see Camille answering on the opposite side, though. They realize, hey, we are in a position where we can contest them 5v5 right now. So they are going to be able to get a bit of gold back, but WE definitely with the massive win in terms of pressure on the map, even going to just turn towards spot right now and have Shanks answer BiuBiu.
Yeah, Shanks pick up a massive wave on top of that. WE moving to Zeka. And Zeka has the hijack available. We'll see what he steals here. 1 versus 4 for now. The pillar great, but abscond abduct over it. BLG angling themselves, but that's the end of the play. Baron's going to expire in 30 seconds. Looks like WE are just disengaging. Again, Lyric, what's that key word as the Spectrum Ore comes through? Confidence? What am I looking for here, Lyric? What have you said?
Decisiveness, my boy. Decisiveness.
You're going to have to keep reminding me because I have the brain of an ant. Actually, apparently they're pretty smart, so I don't want to talk myself up. Maybe of a slug as WE pick up the second dragon of this game. 2 apiece in 27 minutes.
You know, and we all know that you actually have no idea how smart a slug is either, so...
Well, that
and I also want to say, this is a compliment. You are a very unique individual. I don't think you should compare yourself to anything or anyone else.
All right. Well, I won't. Thank you so much. I take that as a compliment. I feel like anyone else, I'd have to question what their intentions are behind the words. But I trust you. I'm sorry you feel betrayed by my cast with Guildborg, but you know.
Whoa. It wasn't the cast with Guildborg. It was the flirting on Twitter with Guildborg. Let's be real.
He started it. It's not my fault. He did start it. You know, I'm not sus. You talk about BLG being sus in some of the plays. I ain't sus. I'm very
that's
hard on myself.
You know, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that one. You do mention BLG, like you said, bit suspect in both of these games so far. Only a few K gold behind, so not totally out of it just yet, but we saw in game 1, I feel like Aiming wasn't able to have a big impact. Once again, Aiming on this 3-item Aphelios has a bounty, farming up just fine, but not able to find it in teamfights so far.
Yep.
Feels like a lot is also on ppgod as truly him and WeiWei being that frontline duo, being able to get in fights, being able to buy space for Aiming to be able to do what he does, but not able to set it up so far. We are going to see BLG at least get pressure in top lane when Zeka can start making their way down, but I don't think BLG really have any room of finding any sort of picks right now. Is WE actually going to be the team looking for picks?
I mean, Shanks is over the wall. This is so dangerous for BiuBiu. Remember, Realm Warp and Flash available. It begins with Breathe getting into it as well. BiuBiu flashes immediately, but there's an army on the way. Hookshot, wall shot over the wall immediately. WE are caving in on this one member. 4 and 5 versus 1. BiuBiu survived long enough. Is it his time to die? Yes, it is, with the Subjugate and the help of Elk. Everyone tunnels in, and BLG can only hope that Zeka gets a response.
I was going to say, if you ever go to a metal show, that is what is called a wall of death. The audience split to both sides, run straight into the middle. Sadly, for the side of BiuBiu, he was in the middle of the wall of death. And again, if you've ever been in one, you never want to be in that position. Got completely slammed. And for WE, just going to have more pressure to this bottom side.
I'll be honest, haven't been to a concert with a wall of death. I saw Darude's Sandstorm live at a concert once, and people started getting in the mosh pit, and I thought, dude, this is not kind of a mosh pit kind of song. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But,
no. It's actually better. The further away you get from metal, the more fun it is to do things like that, and the more necessary it is.
Okay, so like classical jazz mosh pit sounds cool. Man.
I was thinking more of like a Mozart or like Chopin or something like that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, mosh pit for Chopin. I'm down for that. We'll see what happens when COVID finally breaks free of our grasp. And shout out to everyone who's going through a lockdown. You guys are doing well. Glad you got LPL while the times are tough. Times are tough for BLG in Game 2, so you can sympathize with them because Baron's up again. Dragon's coming up in minute 50. WE have rain controls. ppgod needs to stop backing in this brush. 2 games in a row has almost gotten caught out. And Beishang's trying to be the one to do it.
With the bottom view that could have come out missing, though, with a pillar, okay, nothing going to happen. With the bottom view that comes out, if ppgod does this every game, could be something that WE can very clearly see as a trend to have it to look to abuse. WE, though, going to look towards the Baron. Potentially could be trying to set up a skirmish, but I think at the very least, right, wanted to force out that TP from BiuBiu, so he won't be able to punish on side lanes as he's right now.
And he's just trying to get the turret first, but Baron's already down to 4k. There's the TP. Is it too late with the Magnet Storm from ppgod? The track and repel good, but Zeka needs to get in quick because the support's already dead. WeiWei with his own ultimate there as BLG are now in the middle of the pit. It's a fight for Baron. It goes down to BLG in the end, but they have to survive because WE are tearing them apart. In the meantime, save me, Lisa, as BiuBiu goes right into the back of the pit, but triple golden play from WE. Aiming though, Aphelios is doing it once again on Shanks. Denied.
Yeah, for WE able to take the fight. I think it's so unfortunate for BLG. They see the one member of WE in the pit. Sure, they get Baron, but they're also taking all that Baron damage. Gonna funnel their way through topside. Should at the very least be able to get another inhibitor. We have about 20-second death timer, so I don't think they can look for an end, but actually, Hysterics, this damage is pretty surprising.
It is huge. It's absolutely massive, and Elk with the satchel charge. We've already talked about it many times. On the Nexus turrets, ppgod pill it up, rooted in place. Beautiful stuff from Missing as Mega Inferno Bomb's an afterthought. Satchel charge number 1 onto the second. WE have a bare Nexus once again. Beishang is pushing him back against the wall. Excuse me, that's WeiWei trying to defend, but Elk blasted open for match point for WE.
And WE are just coming out so exciting. Can you imagine 2 teams making all the way from round 1 and seeing how far they can go? LNG showing us it on the top side of the bracket. WE now here, 2 games up in the series. And WE, right, their early games might not be the most flawless, the macro might not be exceptional in the early game, but once it comes to the team fights, WE excel where you need to excel in the LPL. It's always going to come down to these 5v5 scraps, and WE are excelling.
They really are. I want to praise WE for 2 games in a row, having such a strong mid to, I guess, late game transition, where they've controlled BLG, they've been, Lyric, what's the word, decisive. I got it in the end.
There we go.
And we get a very similar gold grab with 1 explosion from Team WE.
Yeah, I mean, BLG were able to get ahead early once again. I think we saw some good plays coming out from WeiWei to set things up, but still not able to keep it going. On the opposite side, Elk, I think, definitely having a massive series in terms of the damage numbers he's putting up. Kalista in game 1, exceptional this time around on the Ziggs. When we doubted him his last series against Top Esports didn't look good on the Ziggs. That might have been the whole big brain bait all along. Is like, hey, we're already locked into playoffs. Let's look kind of bad on Ziggs. And then there we go. You come in, the man plays it phenomenally, and the rest of the squad, it kind of sucks because, like you said, we didn't really get to talk about Riven much. We didn't really get to see what she could do because it felt like Breathe, for the most part, wasn't a massive factor. It's still cool we got her on the Rift, but members like Elk, members like Beishang and Shanks really able to step up. Some clutch pillars coming up are missing this time around. And if anything, this is scarier for other teams in playoffs.
It is.
The fact that you don't need to, just funnel everything into Breathe and hope he can be the one to carry you across the finish line, I think is quite good, seeing like, hey, all the diversity in terms of members stepping up on WE to be the primary carries.
And it's great considering that the early game was bullying Riven Show. Breathe gets the win in the end, and arguably, Breathe was the person we talked about the least in that game, but it all came together once again. It doesn't matter when you're a 5-stack and you can play those skirmishes. I think you and I had a really good conversation at the start of broadcast about how similar these teams can be, but how WE can play the scrap, how WE can, I guess, play a stronger mid-game is correct in saying, if you want to correct me on that.
They're like very similar yet different at the same time, right? In
Yes.
terms of like the focal points on the teams, where they like to put resources, the champions they play, all of these are similar, but the way they like to play out the game holistically is very different in terms of, we can see what BLG have done 2 times in a row in terms of, I think they've shown that they are much better in the early game at transferring pressure. They are very fluid about getting vision down and spotting out the enemy, making plays across the map, to where WE, I think, do have probably stronger laners across the board. They're able to like upkeep, not fall too far behind. Then once it comes into 5v5s, I think mechanically excellent. They are much more decisive, and I think they do have a pretty good setup of like controlling and setting up these neutral objectives.
Yeah, they have, because that's where they've blasted it wide open, picks around as well. BLG backs against the wall. Let's not forget that, there have been teams so far, like Suning in the first round against LNG, that have been able to fight their way back. Are BLG one of those, or is it going to be a 3-0 here today? We'll find out right after the break.